Or the 3 monks, you guys can flip for it.
Three-sided coin.
They don't make those 3-sided coins? They probably do in Las Vegas. So meet people where they're at. In other words, if you're not real clear where you're at, then it's going to be more difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's going to be more difficult. If you don't know where you're at, you're going to tend to project onto the other person who you think they are, what you think they are, what's going on with them, instead of actually seeing where they're at. And I don't mean ideas about them. I'm saying if you look at someone and sit in front of someone, the way you will know where they're at is you have no clue who they are, what's going on with them. That's what it feels like to know, to give someone what? The benefit of the doubt, to just be in front of you like a blank sheet of paper. So in other words, open. So we're going to do something this morning. Reese is a little bit different setup. We're going to have an open interview where someone will come up as a student, and it'll be an actual interview. It won't be a fake one. The person will come up and be volunteer. I prefer someone who hasn't done this before, and since I don't want anybody sitting up on a high chair looking down on me, this won't work for me. So I need to be able to look down on them as they sit on either a zafu, a gamden, 2 different levels of gamdens. So you can sit on one or both of those, so that would be okay. We'll sit over here, and then we'll conduct a formal interview. I call it an open interview, and the reason I call it that is because, well, instead of being in the hojo where we're talking face to face, it opens up so other people can observe what transpires between the teaching person and the learning person. Any volunteers? Volunteers? Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, do you have to have a question to go up there, or you just kind of?
Well, you got any money? Bring money. Well, if you don't have some kind of a dynamic, then probably not too much is going to happen. That being said, if you feel inspired to come up, then probably something is coming, unless you just want to be on TV. If someone doesn't volunteer, I'll call on a temple resident. Come on, guys. I'm sitting up here.
Why is it so scary to do it?
Because we're worried about being judged.
I'll do it.
Okay. Have a chair. Or a pillow.
Or something.
Mm-hmm. You okay sitting on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so first we bow to each other. Okay, you can turn a little bit more and face me.
Yep.
Are you a real outlaw, or is that just outlaw yoga?
Outlaw yoga.
Okay, that's different. That's perfect. Okay.
Definitely not an outlaw.
So what questions do you have for me?
What's the temple about?
What's this about? This is a structure or a container that is much different than your living room, your bathroom, your dining room, your garage, your yard, or any place you've ever been in. This is a building that is made just to contain and hold people so they can come in and just train their minds. There's no other activity here. Well, there could be some. There's other aspects of training the mind, like the brush and ink awareness, and also this afternoon we're going to, thanks to Bupmi and Kana, we're going to do some sutra copying practice, which we haven't done here before. It's a place where you can come in anytime. The door is open. You come in, sit down, look at the wall, train your mind. And it's not that you can't do that at home, but if you do it here, the timing schedule is all set up, 6.5 hours a day, and you'll hear just 15 minutes before any one of those 3 times, you'll hear the Hanan bell or the wooden fish out in the entryway. Hear that someone will be out there striking those to let other people in the temple know time to sit. So, more?
What's an easy way to meditate while at home?
There is no easy way, but my suggestion would be, do you live by yourself or with others?
With others.
Okay. Do you have your own room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then schedule yourself. Write it on the mirror in the bathroom when you get up in the morning, and make it a statement about what is the case. I meditate every day from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock. So something that's very definite, so that even if you don't do it, at least you have that in your face all the time. So it's bringing that part of your consciousness to, this is something you're inspired to do, and the inspiration tends to be high and low and higher and low, but concepts don't move. So the mirror, unless you have one of those mirrors that slips back into the closet when you're not looking, I've not seen one of those in a long time,
Never seen it.
haven't you?
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you about it someday.
So,
So the schedule part seems to be very important. Seems to be important to, figure out some way of kind of cornering yourself, is a way of saying it. Do it with a note on the refrigerator, note on the, find a time when you're really inspired, and that's when you do the setup with the concepts. And go through some kind of ritual. It can be, the simple one can be, some people are very worried about bowing to anything. So they don't want to do that. If you don't want to bow, then bow anyway. Just come in and bow to your cushion, or bow to the wall, sit down, hold this mudra, or this one. This one is the one I recommend. Hold very still, do it for an hour a day. Observe what comes and goes in the mind, and do it over and over again, and commit to it for a couple of years. You're a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a lot of time. More than likely.
I find it hard to just get it going. What's like so many distractions, Facebook, TV, just
I know.
anything.
Yeah.
How would you just get rid of that so you can?
I wouldn't worry about it. I would include it. There's no. I mean, you have to get rid of something, obviously, but I would do it. Kind of more organically, rather than try to set something up. You don't really want to give up Facebook, do you?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then stop it. Does that help?
Just delete it. Just delete it.
Well, I think it has a way of sneaking back into your.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, scheduling I think works. Do you have a job?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Serve tables.
Serve tables. Okay, how's that going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good. I did some of that about 50 years ago
Yeah.
in Chicago. Yeah, I waited tables.
Probably a beautiful place to serve.
Yeah, it was Chicago. So, are you here in town?
I live here.
Where do you serve tables at?
Arcadia.
Oh, good place.
Yeah.
So, probably the best thing to do is to do the scheduling thing, and just use it. I mean, you have a watch. You have a watch.
You got a phone.
You got a phone. That's a clock. Use that, and don't use the device on there to time yourself, or don't use the bells and whistles on there. If you don't have a bell, use a water glass and a spoon. Start your meditation by striking something. Actually, make it part of your whole body, speech, mind complex. You sit down. You have your cushion. If you don't have a cushion, sit on a chair. Or get a cushion. Sit down, face the wall. And do that if you can do it every single day, and try to do it at the same time. That seems to makes it more habitual. What's your birthday?
April 22nd.
What year?
88.
88. So you're going to be
29.
yeah.
Oof.
I know it. Sneaking up on you, isn't it?
Yeah. No bueno.
Yeah. So that seems to be the thing, is we get the inspiration, and then you find the other areas that work with the conceptual part of your mind. The inspiration is a very fluffy part of the mind. It's good. We need fluff.
Right.
It's just like you need clouds, fluffy, but you need them. You need dirt. So the dirt part of the mind, or the concept part of the mind, that's the bedrock. So you use the concepts. I meditate every day from 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And then all you're going to do is see how hard it is to do that. Actually, you'll probably start doing that, and then you'll have times when you can't. But your awareness of not doing is just as important as your awareness of doing it. I'll say it again. Your awareness of not meditating is just as important as your awareness of now I'm meditating. It's always about awareness. It's never about accomplishing anything. It's a big misunderstanding that people have. further questions?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay in touch. Come back here and use this building, use this space.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next victim. Come. My smiling coach is signaling me from the back going, smile. You know you're really old and everything is sagging, so you have to smile. Right chair. So now we bow. So Christina,
Christina.
so what's up?
I have a question about thought. And sometimes we stop our thinking, and sometimes it feels like my awareness is below thought and sometimes above thought. I was wondering if you could clarify.
I can't clarify your awareness for you. You can do that.
Oh.
But ask me as direct a question. It's a pretty good question.
Okay.
Just hone it down.
Hone it down. Okay, so is there a process, or does it happen that we have awareness below thought and above thought? I guess it would be my.
I think that could probably happen. You would have some kind of experience that you would move into that kind of a description of it. So, yeah, I think that's possible. What is it you're asking about? What is
Well,
it
is there like, is there an ideal place to be in terms? Are there I guess the question is, are there levels of awareness, and is there an ideal place for me to reside in those levels? My awareness to reside, I guess.
So there are levels to everything. Anything you can find, you're going to find some kind of levels. Everything can be divided up in some way, but that doesn't stop it from being one thing or a whole thing. So the ideal place for you to reside is on the cushion, looking at the wall. This is the ideal thing. Everything else is secondary. What happens in the mind is secondary. When I say it's secondary, things are going to come and go. You'll go into concepts, ideas about what's happening. But if you just continue to use the body to relate to the mental processes, the awareness, by sitting down and watching what continues to move. In this way, that movement part will start to slow down or settle down or change its speed, and you'll find that the awareness that in which that thought arises does not change. So what you're doing is you're changing, and this is just a way of talking about it. You're slowly changing your allegiance, your affinity, your allegiance, over to the space itself, or the awareness itself, rather than what arises in it. Because what arises in awareness is sometimes threatening, sometimes cheerful, sometimes bland. It could be almost anything. It's going to go on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. I'll say it again. It goes on and on and on.
It does go on and on.
Doesn't it though? My goodness. So
very
what's
creative.
what's your job?
To stay aware of the space that's holding all
To be-
of the.
Yeah, just let
Stuff
things
going
come and go.
on.
Just when
Right.
you say let, I'm saying just it comes this way, goes that way, it comes and it leaves, and it's just be a good, as is sometimes said, be a good host or hostess. Be a good, just sit down. As soon as you sit down, whatever happens is exactly and precisely what you personally need to see at that moment, with all the karma that is tagging along behind you and providing this appearance, this tone of voice, this particular dynamic, this lifetime. You can take it wherever you want to. And it's very good practice for anyone, you or anyone else, to at some point sit down, see what this is. All you're doing is saying, it's a question of what is this? What is it? What is it to be? Not what does it mean? That's going away from it. But what is this? What is this? And of course, the mind wants to say, well, it's the floor.
Or
something.
emptiness. Is that the mind talking when it says, oh, I'm going to focus on emptiness that holds all this confluence?
Yeah, don't bother with it.
Okay.
Not when you're sitting. When you're sitting, don't do anything with the emptiness thing. Observe what happens. Maybe the rug, maybe the birds outside, maybe thought patterns, maybe worrying about something. We're just watching what moved by. Just the way you understand what the space is to look at what moves in it without adding anything to it. It's like watching clouds. you watch the clouds, you slowly or speedily become aware of this incredible, vast blue space in which those things occur and move. If you do anything with the clouds, you forget about the sky, and you're all about cloud construction or destruction, deconstructing
That's kind
clouds.
of fun, though.
Huh?
I said that's kind of fun, though. Playing with things in my. Yeah, you want us to do that?
I didn't say that. You misinterpreted my
Did I? Okay.
my look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fine.
Because it feels like I
Wait,
have
wait.
too. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Here it comes.
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
ready. Here it comes.
Okay. Take your time and enjoy yourself. I'm not saying you can't do some of that, but spend some time on the cushion doing not much. Just hold still, watch what moves. And then if you want to go back and fool around with, deconstructing the cloud shapes in your mind, that's fine too. Go to Little Beach.
Am I fiddling when I have like an energy that feels
It doesn't
and
matter
I
if
want to
you're,
work with it?
here, listen, this is really important. It's often missed. It doesn't matter whether you're fiddling or not. It's only about being aware of it.
Okay.
It's not about controlling or manipulating. Meet everything where it's at. If your mind is
So if I am controlling, I can just watch myself be controlling.
you really can't control anything.
Oh.
It's a really great discovery.
Okay.
Feels really good. It does.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to control anything anymore. Feels good. Big relief. You go take a nap. Or go to the zoo. I mean, you could do something completely different, but you don't really have to control. Actually, we can't really control anything. We can control. It's kind of seductive to see the few little things we can control. Like I can ring this bell. Ooh, I'm in charge there. But I didn't make that bell. I didn't invent brass, and I don't remember making these hands, and I didn't make the space in which the sound reverberates, nor did I make the eardrums that hear it. So I was in charge.
No idea.
I like that. No idea. Now shave that back and just say idea. Now get rid of that one. What do you got left? I like that. Yeah, that's an advanced mudra, by the way. It's like you go from this to. It's actually progress on the path. It's very sneaky, and it's a secret teaching. So don't tell anybody. More?
I think that's it.
Very good. Thank you for coming up, Christina. We have a little bit of time left. We have time for probably one more, and then we need to go to daily Dharma gathering, which will be clouds and waters. Clouds and waters? No, mountains and rivers. Same thing, isn't it? Kind of. Yes. Who?
Oh, I thought you guys were. Yes.
Yes. Tegan. Oh, I can't. Because of where you're from, I can't do it. We can't do it. Because of your the public situation. Would love to talk to you. Hey, though,
That's a good thing.
you just I can talk to you from there.
Yeah.
You can just sit there and ask me questions. That's fine.
Maybe closer so like.
Yeah, you could come up a little closer and just
my notebook too.
just don't get it. Yeah, bring your notebook. Take notes. Yeah, that'll work. Go right ahead. First we bow. And I'm going to call you Susie. Okay, Susie, what's up?
Yesterday you mentioned the term non-duality, and I was wondering if you could explain that concept.
So non-duality is the Sanskrit word, to get fancy, is advaita. The dvaita means two-ness, and the a part is the negative part, so advaita. It just means that there isn't two things anywhere. The two-ness is something that we have as human beings, our incredible consciousness and our self-centeredness, which is the downside of our intelligence. We're so smart. We're incredibly, human beings are, all the other beings in the universe are very envious of us. You didn't know that? Michael, you didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
So, because we're so incredibly creative, and one of the things we create is this polarity, and the polarity helps us do stuff. It helps us build things. We see something's not there, let's put something there. Too much of that, let's take that away. So we work with polarities all the time, but we tend to take it too far and think that there is such a thing as a right and a wrong and a good and a bad, and that all comes out of some of the human beings in the world trying to get control of the other human beings. Starts out with mothers and fathers and children, usually. And it has to do with not respecting and that's why it's so confusing, not respecting what I like to use the word sovereignty of each consciousness. You need to really respect people. It's so important to respect not only their intelligence, but their confusion. Don't meddle with anybody else's mind situation without permission. Please don't do that. There's so much of that going on, people having assumptions. If you ask me sitting up here in my so-called authoritarian position, what you should do with your life, I really will not tell you what to do. I might suggest that you train your mind, but I would, if I didn't see a fair amount of openness to that, I might think it's just not time for you to do that. More.
I'll have to think on that, so.
Okay. So anything else about non-duality, not to? Do you follow that?
A bit. It was just as you're talking, like neither clear or unclear.
That's
true or
non-duality.
untrue.
Yeah, here or there. And it extends and extends, but what happens, we clamp down on the part we recognize as the polarity and we lock down on it, right and wrong. You know, we'll lock down on it. Rather than not know, we lock down on an opinion, which is, of course, a fiction. It's based on fear, basically, locking down on anything. Everything is completely in flux all the time at one rate of speed or another. As they say, the universe is expanding. More?
I guess because my first meditation instructions were like, meditating so that we stop chasing our mind in circles and chasing after the thoughts.
Did I tell you that?
No, that one did.
That one. That guy?
Don't listen to her.
You misunderstood. You apparently misunderstood what he said.
Potentially, because I'm sitting here and it's like, that's what it feels
Well,
like.
here,
I'm
let
doing
me
it
say
now.
this. Let me say this. Here's probably what he probably was saying, and I don't know, I wasn't there, but probably was saying, because this is what I say to him, is all you have to do is watch the circularity. Don't interrupt it. Interrupting, you actually get, to try to interrupt, you know what a tilt-a-whirl is? Carnival. Try to interrupt a tilt-a-whirl by getting on it. It won't work because you'll start to spin. So all you have to do is stay off and just watch it. Watch it spin. If you watch your mind spin, it gets its energy from your interaction with it, from you acting like someone who wants to control, wants to stop, wants to start, wants to turn away from, for that matter. Passion, aggression, ignorance, those three will cause that wheel to keep spinning in some way. And so this is why the awareness practice is so powerful. If you can just sit, hold still, and bring your awareness to whatever the confusion is in your mind without interrupting it, without trying to cover it up, without trying to make excuses for it or explain it, and without turning away or distracting yourself from it.
So the idea is to watch the circles without, without, trapping yourself in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Whew. We made it. So what do you think? Should we do any other questions? Then we need to close and do the daily Dharma gathering, which everyone is welcome to stay for that. Yes.
I just had a question going back to Michael's interview.
Yes.
About if we find ourselves leaving our form early,
Yeah.
should we do anything at that point? Should we come back and finish, or should we acknowledge that, all right, I'm just getting up?
Like you decide to practice, and then you find yourself practicing, and then instead of sitting there for an hour, you get up after 40 minutes and go do something else.
Yeah, or 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
I'd be very careful about, I would use that to be as aware as possible. I mean, it would be what your intention is about getting up. But if suddenly you realize there's something you have to do that you had forgotten, maybe you need to do that. Or possibly your back is hurting. You're sitting and you can't sit there because your back is hurting. You need to do stretch or something. So it's very good. This is something that's in the sutra, the third sutra, I think, that we chanted, is don't set up standards. I mean, we already have some standards. We have standards here, the times when we sit, times when we talk, so we need something. But don't set them up arbitrarily to try to, try to lock down on something. It seems to be, it's difficult because we need to remind ourselves, we need to use the concept to get ourselves to the cushion to meditate. But then the whole right and wrong thing starts showing up. We have to watch out. Yes?
Sometimes you'll say to the temple residents to start and finish a form.
I do.
So start it for 5 minutes if you can, and then come back and then just
Very good.
finish it, hit a bell,
Yeah.
and then walk away. What is that coming back and just touching for that last 60 seconds?
You're just observing the form. I do I do it myself. That's why I talk about. I do it on the treadmill. If I can get myself to it, and if my knees will let me, I get on the treadmill with the intention of walking for an hour, and I do as much as I can, which is usually half an hour. And then at night, I come back and try to finish that out and do the hour. Sometimes I can, sometimes I just can't. But the intention to do it is what is important, and that you go and. Sometimes I say, even if you, with people who are here to come, maybe you don't feel so well, you need to not, you're not going to be able to sit for 2 hours during the schedule, but you can maybe at least come down and start the form, and that might be only coming in and bowing at the altar and leaving. Just some kind of you're acknowledging that form that you have decided to use as a support to your awareness practice, and so. It's difficult, yes.
How does that relate to making a commitment?
Yeah, so the would depend on the commitment, but if there's some commitments like commitment to the Bodhisattva vow. Once you receive that vow, your choices are over in that area, and you will actually start to see the world change in such a way that you can't do anything but put others before yourself. Every time you try to do the opposite, it's just doesn't happen. Very interesting area. It's not particularly magical or mystical or anything. More?
I was thinking more about you've often said, keep your commitments.
Yeah, I do.
So
Keep your agreements.
In regards to Chazon's question about then observing the form, how do those two interrelate?
So observing the form is you have the commitment, you keep it, you have an agreement to come and if you're a temple resident, you're agreeing to a whole lot of stuff here that is may not be always work out because sometimes you don't feel well. I even acknowledge if somebody doesn't feel like sitting. I think that's valid, but it has to be within the context of the form, and it has to be your awareness that's really there with it, so you have the ability to respond or take responsibility if you want the direct way, but you actually respond to what's happening out of the relationship as it is, the awareness. Things are constantly in flux. You don't know what's happening in your stomach. You don't know what's happening in your mind. We don't even know where our mind is at. It certainly isn't here. That's a brain. Mind has no location. So the idea would be to do the best you can to keep the agreement, to come and practice, but also any of the temple residents, if you're to talk to any of them here, if someone sends me a text and say, I can't make it today, I don't feel well, I don't question that at all. Now, if they did that day after day after day, then we might have to talk about it and see what's going on. But to have some kind of space to have a strong container or practice form, and actually, quite a bit different from, say, the military, which I was in for a number of years, where you're a GI, you're a government issue. So you have no say-so, a little, but you don't have much. You do what you're told, or you get court-martialed, or office hours, or something. And so, whereas this situation is also strong form, and it has a military feel to it sometimes, but it's soft. These walls are not made of rigid Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. It's not made of that kind of a structure. It's made of soft, where there's things that accommodate, where we accommodate things that flow, and still the form is still there. Everyone knows about it. Christina.
Today we did the work. Jason recited the metta. I don't know.
Yeah, Maitri Bhavana.
Yes. And I had talked to you about devotion, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Could you explain what we're doing there with the metta?
Praying. To put it bluntly, just the Buddhist form of prayer is always, we're always praying for others, and we're also praying for our community. We're asking for. It's very good to ask for help. So we don't know where it's coming from. It's not about believing in something. It's not about disbelieving in something. The most difficult thing for most people is they think they either need to believe something or disbelieve it. And that's a very primitive way of working with reality.
Could you say that again?
Don't believe, don't disbelieve. And also don't repeat what I said to anybody. Don't teach that until you understand it. Because if you don't understand it, then you'll think that's a position, and that's actually not a position. For a position, it wouldn't work. What do I mean by work? I don't know. I have no idea. Are we ready? Okay. Thank you so much. Daily Dharma gathering. What is next? And that'll be a mountains and rivers form of daily Dharma gathering. So that means I won't have a particular topic, but I'll take questions again. You don't have to be up here though. You can just.
But first, we'll dedicate the merit that's at the back of your blue chant books.
Oh, you could be up here. I guess we could do it that way. Whoever wants to.
And would also like to remind everybody about the donation boxes that we have in the hallway. We appreciate your help.
May awareness penetrate into all places so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Jiho san ji jihu shizon musa moko sa moko the 10 directions, the 3 worlds, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajna, Paramita.
O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, please hear us. Please come down out of the light and protect Sokukoji Buddhist Temple Monastery, our Sangha, families, friends, and visitors. Heal everyone who is unhappy, sick, or suffering, and fill them with light.